And the messenger who was speaking to me came back and woke me up as a man is awakened from sleep, and said unto me, What do you see? So I said, I have looked and see a lampstand of gold with a bull on top of it, and on top of the stand 7 lamps with 7 spouts to the 7 lamps. And 2 olive trees are by it, one at the right of the bowl, and the other at its left. Then I responded and spake to the messenger who was speaking with me, saying, What are these, my master? And the messenger who was speaking to me answered and said, Do you not know what these are? And I said, No, my master. And he said to me, This is the word of Yahuwah to Zerubbabel, not by might nor by power, but by my Ruach, says Yahuwah of hosts. So we are about ready to enter into a brand new year. In fact, you see that I put the image right up here for the first of Abib, cutting down some. Okay, well, may you get the victory to cut it out completely. So the beginning of the new year is coming on the pagan day 313, which today is 3/5. So it's only like a couple weeks, 12 days. I do have a sister who was asking some questions about Pesach and unleavened bread. So I wanted to try to touch on it just a little bit before we get back into our series on Revelation that we were doing, which is pretty exciting because um, we have some very interesting meat coming up in Revelation. HaTH'GaLUTH. Um, so first of all, let me just go ahead and say, right, on the beginning of the new year, 313, then we have the first full moon of the first month in the evening of the second day, which means that the following day is the new moon day mentioned in scripture, of which there are 4 a year: the beginning of spring, the beginning of summer, the beginning of autumn, and the beginning of winter. So we have a feast unto Yahuwah coming up on this green box right here, which is 3/15/2025 on the pagan calendar. So it's falling on the pagan Saturday. So a lot of people already have it off. But this is a feast unto Yahuwah, so there is no servile work, Qadash assembly, which for those of you who don't know, is that you have a feast or gather together with believers who are in the way, okay, who trust in Yahusha's finished work, being impaled on the stake, who guard the commandments of the Most High Yahuwah, Baruk Yahuah, okay. Most of the people listening to me and following what I bring out are Qadashayam. That's the name of the YouTube channel, right? And the TikTok page and all that. So then from that feast, you see we progress across to the first Shabbat of the first year, which is 3/19/2025. Then we go begin another week, okay? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This day right here is the 10th day of the first month. You don't have a copy of this calendar, email me and I will send it to you. Okay? Exodus chapter 12, verse 3 commands us to get the lamb this day. Trying to make arrangements now for my family and I to travel to actually acquire or procure the lamb that we're going to roast on the evening of the 14th. So that's 10th day, 11, 12, 13, 14. This is Shabbat. the second Shabbat of the first month, the second Shabbat of the whole year, Baruk Yahuah, in the evening is when we have the Pasach. Okay? Then we have 5 days of unleavened bread. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5. It's 7. Forgive me, Abba. 7 days of unleavened bread. My understanding is that there's no servile work on this day, the first one, and there's no servile work on the last one, but that's already no work on that day anyway, because that's a Shabbat. Okay? Every single one of these days on here, we have commandment uh, to make an offering by fire unto Yahuwah. I do plan on taking some of these days off of my normal work, but I'm also going to work. So these days that are falling in the middle here, someone had asked me, okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days that are in there, you can work. Okay? Baruk Yahuah, you're able to work. So now what I wanted to do is, before we get into what we were going to do with Revelation, which we're going to be picking up in chapter 11. We already did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first week. That was it's a great study. If you want to go seek it out on the YouTube channel, I would encourage you to do so. That one was entitled "One Sat on the Throne." One king, guys, one throne in the Shemayim. Hallelujah. The next one that we did was 6 through 10, chapters 6 through 10, which is Wrath of the Lamb. Okay? And Baruk Yahuah, that ends up being, that video has been up for 1 week and it has 576 views and over 55 comments. It's actually one of the most popular videos that's ever come out on this channel. And I think that's because a lot of people are very interested in last days, eschatology, the study of last days, and understanding Revelation requires that we understand the prophets. And in all honesty, in Christianity, they don't have any understanding really of the prophets at all, so they don't understand Revelation. And there you go. It is what it is. Okay? If you can't say Aman, then you better say ouch. So let's go Shamuth chapter 12, which is one of the places where we get understanding about this Moedim that I've been talking to you about, Pasach and unleavened bread. Okay? I'm just going to read a few of these. So beginning in verse 1, it says, "And Yahuwah spoke to Masha and to Aaron in the land of Mitzrayim, saying, This is the beginning of months for you." Okay? So they write a lot of confusion into the scriptures between moons and months. I go into this in the other videos on the calendar, so please check that out if you lack understanding in this area. Here's what I want you to get, though. When Yashar'Al came out of Mitzrayim, the Most High Yah had to go to Masha and Aaron, the leaders, and say, "This is the first day of the year. Today is the first day of the year. Now count your days from here." Okay? He didn't come to them and say, "As you know, as it is written, you'll look for the straight line shadow," or whatever. Okay? Even the moon is not for months. The moon is for seasons. This is meat. A lot of people don't understand these things, but may you seek it and acquire understanding. So, Yahuwah told them when the first day of the year is. That's important to understand. Now he goes on in verse 3 to say, "Speak to all the congregation of Yashar'Al," or speak to the children of Yashar'Al, saying, "On the 10th day of this month, each one is to take for himself a lamb, according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household." Okay? So this is something that's done by household. Are you the man? Are you the male, the head of your household? Are you the priest of your home? Because you should be, Yashar'Al. And so you should be the one who's doing the priestly duties, which these are sacrifices, to roast, to make an offering by fire unto Yahuwah. Okay, we should be leading in this regard, guys. Okay, they asked me this question as well, and I'm trying to break it down for understanding. It's not Qadash. You're not going to find a female priest. Don't take offense. Accept the truth, right? You're not going to find a female king. Okay? And the 144,000 are to be kings and priests forever after the order of Malach Sadak, which Yahusha is that king of righteousness. Verse 4, if the household is too small for a lamb, let he and his neighbor who is next to his house take it according to the number of beings or souls, according to each need you make it count for the lamb. So it is okay for people to come together, a Qadash assembly. That's okay. It's okay to share this feast with one another, but it's not something that we just open up to unbelievers. You don't start doing the feast in one place and move to another place. You dedicate yourself to a house where you're going to be partaking of the lamb, and you do that there. And it's all done in haste, and it's done in the evening of the 14th. Again, okay? Let the lamb be a perfect one, a year old, male. Take it from the sheep or from the goats, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. So now we're going to the 14th day, which is right here at the end of the second week. You're not there, that little box right there. Okay. And it also instructs you that you take some of the blood, put it upon the doorposts and the lintels of the house where they eat it at. So, this is, again, understanding that Yahusha is our Pasach. Okay. His blood cleanses us. We're covered in his blood. This is an imagery that's a shadow to Yahusha. Okay. So there's a physical manifestation of a spiritual truth. Baruk Atah Yahuah. Not getting very many likes anymore. What's going on? You guys don't like this? Kind of funny. They shall eat the flesh of that night roasted with fire, with unleavened bread and bitter herbs you shall eat it. So some of the stuff that you were asking me about, the questions of like, well, what else goes with it and stuff like that, you want to have unleavened bread. I know that Maya Shah has a type of recipe, so message her. I think you probably already did. And also the bitter herb. And I think that the bitter herb before, didn't we turn it into like a spread that you can put on the meat and with the bread, sweetheart? If you could just verify that for me, please, in the chat. And also, Aki Damon is saying something about tortillas. I mean, I think it's similar, but you can make it from scratch, and you should, I would say. Why not, right? Then you know it's Kadash. Because guess what? When you go to the grocery store and you buy what's in the packages, most likely it's not. There's always things in there. Even enriched flour is something that we should be careful. Okay? So, do not eat it raw, nor boil at all. Okay? Roasted with fire. All right? That's what's up. Its head and its legs and its inward parts. Do not leave it until the dawning. What remains of it until the dawning, you are to burn it with fire. So whatever you don't eat that night, you need to roast it. I mean, you need to burn it with the fire, char, right? These are the instructions. And this is how you eat it: with your loins girded, with your sandals on your feet, with your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is the Pasach of Yahuah. And listen to this: I shall pass through the land of Mitzrayim on that night, and shall strike all the firstborn of the land of Mitzrayim, both man and beast, and of all the mighty ones, aka demons, for mighty ones. Okay? I shall execute my judgments. I am Atah Yahuah. I am Yahuah. And the blood shall be a sign for you on the house where you are. And when I see the blood, I shall pass over, and let the plague not come on you to destroy you when I strike the land of Mitzrayim. So when we finish with eating our lamb and we put the rest to the fire to burn, I have felt, go inside, close up the windows. If you hear things, don't look out, right? It's just this is more like a personal conviction. So some people might not agree with this, and that's fine. But I don't want to look upon the spirits that are at work in that situation at all, right? We should just come in full amunah, resting in the shalom of him and in remembrance of what he's done, covering us, protecting us, and that vengeance will be his. So this shall become unto you a day of remembrance, and you shall celebrate it as a festival to Yahuwah throughout your generations. Celebrate it as a festival, an everlasting law. So don't let any of these people tell you that this is done away with. That's horrible to say. We should always be in remembrance of this. This is actually a very Baruk time in our calendar, in our Moedim, to remember the Most High Yah and all of his works, his great love for us. Hallelujah. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. Indeed, on the first day you caused leaven to cease from your household. Whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that being shall be cut off from Yashar'Al. Yes, we literally did and do remove every leavening agent from our home. But also those things that cause us to stumble, those things that cause us to transgress against the Most High. Okay, I talk about this a lot, cleansing your camp. Get rid of all the things that the enemy uses to tempt you, right? So this we go through and get rid of movies and music and magazines and video games and whatever it is. We already strive all throughout the year to make sure that the ingredients that we have in our home are Qadash. We've had to actually cut a lot of things out of our diets because we can't trust them. Everybody needs to follow their own personal conviction in this regard, okay? On the first day is a placed apart gathering, like I said, Qadash assembly, right? And on the last day, so you have the first day, which is right here, and then the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Why am I thinking of that? Right there, right? So you have other days within the middle that don't have the same restriction. Okay, the very beginning of unleavened bread and the very end of unleavened bread are Qadash gathering only. No work at all is done on them. No work at all. So this is actually how it is on the seventh day already, right? Not just servile work, but just you shouldn't be you don't need to engage in work at all. So do you need to make preparations for your meals on that day? Yep. And you make preparations for your meals on that day? Yep. And guess what? You would be already anyways, because that's Shabbat. Baruk Yahuah. Okay? And you shall guard the festival of Matzah, for on the same day I brought you your divisions out of the land of Mitzrayim, and you shall guard this day throughout your generations in everlasting law. In the first month, on the 14th day of this month, in the evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day. So you got unleavened bread already starting on the Pesach, which is the 14th, and you go all the way through the whole feast having your unleavened bread. Right? Which should also be bringing into your remembrance to remove the leaven of the Pharisees, false teachings, false doctrines, things that cause you to stumble, like I said. For 7 days no leaven is to be found in your houses, for if anyone eats what is leavened, the same shall be cut off from the congregation of Yashar'Al, whether a sojourner or native of the land. Do not eat that which is leavened in all your dwellings. You are to eat unleavened bread. And Masha called to the elders of Yashar'Al and said, go out and take lambs for yourselves according to your clans, and slay the Pasach. All right? That goes on. You should read it in your own time. For the sake of what we're getting into Revelation, I just want to jump now to Leviticus 23 and cover a little bit here as well. Okay, Baruk Yahuah. And Yahuwah spoke to Masha, saying, speak to the children of Yashar'Al, say to them, the appointed times of Yahuwah, which you are to proclaim Qadash gatherings, my Moedim, my appointed times are these. 6 days work is done, but the seventh day is the Shabbat of rest. That's what today is. Today is the Shabbat. So it's placed apart from all the rest of the days of the week. And you can have a Qadash gathering. You do no work, right, of any kind. It is a Shabbat to Yahuwah in all your dwellings. These are the appointed times of Yahuwah, placed apart gatherings which you are to proclaim at their appointed times. In the first month, on the 14th day, from evening to evening, it's the Pesach, right? So just to explain really quick for those who don't know, the Shabbat day is 12 hours. From the time the sun comes up to the time the sun goes down, that is 12 hours. The evening is separate. The light from the dark is separated. That's why we have the beautiful colors. Because he's showing we're transitioning from night, right? The pretty colors are the bookends of the day. They're part of the day. The night is completely separate from the day. Okay? So make sure you understand that. On the 15th day of this month is the festival of unleavened bread to Yahuwah. 7 days you eat unleavened bread. On the first day you have a Qadash gathering and you do no servile work. You shall bring an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah for all these days, all 7 of these days. On the 7th day is a placed apart gathering and you do no servile work. Okay, so again, no servile work on the first day and the last day of that week. And Qadash assembly. The other days that are in here, you can work and you can have fellowship with others if you wanted to have other people to your camp or break bread with you, whatever. It's not forbidden for you to do that, right? According to the scripture. And Yahuwah spoke unto Masha, saying, Speak unto the children of Yashar'Al, and you shall say to them, When you come into the land which I give you, shall reap the harvest, you shall bring the sheaf of the first fruits of the harvest unto the priest. Okay, so now it starts going into like first fruits. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahuwah for acceptance. On the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest waves it. I think that we're getting into Shabuo now, right? Shabuo is of a twofold nature. Hey, Akuthi, Darlene, Shalom, welcome. I was just going over the new year and talking about the new moon day for the beginning of spring. Also talking about the Pesach that's coming up in the evening of the 14th day, and then unleavened bread. So if you are interested in that, you did miss some. That will be on the YouTube channel. I had a sister asking for more information as that's coming up very, very soon. Also, when I finish this week and Abba willing next week with the book of Revelation, I want to maybe talk some more about that too. Talk about the calendar and the new year and all that. Okay, but I was just doing it right now while some folks come in before we go ahead and jump into where we are in the scriptures. Hallelujah. So we are going to be in the book of Revelation in chapter 11. And I want to jump right in. I guess maybe I will mention that. Oh, you're loving the mic. Hallelujah. It was really not that. It's very inexpensive on the TikTok shop. Baruk Atah. So they had their basically a State of the Union thing. I know they call it a different name, but really. And Trump was speaking, and I'm having very strong feelings about him and what he really is all about. I've talked about this already at length, and there's a whole playlist of Trump videos on the YouTube channel. I was trying to listen to see if I could discern anything that he was saying. I might need to kind of chew on that for a little while before I come really out with it. But it looks like there's going to be legislation passed, which would, if anybody does anything to law enforcement, then they'll have the unaliving penalty, like an automatic thing. said that the golden age was just beginning. He also said that we were going to have a golden dome, which would be kind of like the Iron Dome, but better because it's golden dome. Pretty wild things. Not sure exactly what all that is, other than just to say, everybody needs to put their amunah in Yahuwah and not in man, and that these people that are up in these elevated positions have entered into agreements with four mighty ones like Hashatan himself, um, and that we will we will very soon know who the physical manifestation of that wicked spirit is indwelt with, right? Like the hand of the restrainer is most likely already begun to be lifted, and a lot of things are already coming to be revealed, and the language and the rhetoric is all ramped up significantly regarding what trade war, right? And the idea of the black horse being like, what access you have to different types of food and things like that, the supply chain, um, power being cut off to places, communications being, a lot of these things are very much right. The sign, it's like you're driving down the highway and you saw the sign that there's an exit coming up, and it's coming up. The signs are there and everything is fast approaching. So look at when we talked about the seals, maybe last time. Yeah, it was last time. The Wrath of the Lamb video that we did, we talked about the seals. And so the white horse, the red horse, the black horse, everything is already in position. And I think that even the fourth seal already is open. This is what I believe. Everyone needs to discern it for themselves. But there's been high numbers of unaliving already that haven't been shared with us, and we haven't been told everything. So, that being said, the wine of the wrath of Alahym. That's where we're at. The wine of the wrath of Alahym. Okay, so we'll be in the book of Revelation and we'll be in chapter 11. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of Alahym, and the altar, and them that worship therein. Just looking at the footnote that it gave right here, which is HaTH'GaLUTH, chapter 40, verse 3. Also chapter 40, also chapter 40, verse 47, and also chapter 41, verse 13. I don't have the ability to pull those up super quick, so if I do it, it might take me a moment. Just bear with me. Sorry about that, you guys. HaTH'GaLUTH's right here. I did want to say Baruk Yahuah because the Father did a miracle for us to get this truck recently. If you don't know, we live in a big fifth wheel toy hauler and have for over 4 years, and we had to sell our truck because we just couldn't afford all the payments. When a car broke down, we had to get it repaired, and it just ended up costing too much money. So we had to spend about a year not with no truck, knowing that hey, if we have to move the trailer or anything, we can't. So he definitely removed obstacles, opened doors, and gave us opportunity to get a truck that really is beautiful, and it very much looks like it's very well kept. The maintenance up on it. Even yesterday, the check engine light came on, so I took it to the mechanic, and they came back and said, "Oh, it was just this little something to do with the emissions with the DEF exhaust fluid, and we flushed out the exhaust, and everything's fine, and Even that only was ended up being like $137. Hallelujah. Yahuah. I didn't know what we were going to get into and how much all that was going to cost. So, praise him, right? Baruk Yahuah, because he is a way maker. And, now I know that, like, if we have to, thankfully we're at a place where we feel very welcome and we don't have to, like, move. But if we did, we would be able to now. So, and I also wanted to make mention, when Maya Shaw comes back, baby, please remind me to talk a little bit about, someone shared with us some information about their spouse, and it's really beautiful. I'm not going to name names or do anything like that, but I want to talk about it. Right now, I can't juggle so much all at once, sweetheart. I know that you're here, but when you come down here, downstairs, we talk about it. All right? Hallelujah. So that's coming. Another praise report coming soon. So HaTH'GaLUTH chapter 40 and verse 3 says, "And he brought me thither, and behold, there was a man, whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flax in his hand, and a measuring reed. And he stood in the gate. And the man said unto me, Son of Adam, behold with your eyes, and hear with your ears, and place your heart upon all that I shall show you. For to the intent that I might show them unto you are you brought hither. Declare all that you have seen to the house of Yashar'Al." Oh yeah, so this is another part where they actually did this measurement. So this is, again, like I said, everything kind of hearkening back to the prophets, and it's really cool. So let's see now in 47. So he measured the court 100 cubits long and 100 cubits broad, foursquare, and the altar that was before the house. And then it says 41:13. Somebody wants to really go in on this, they can go back and check this out really in depth. So he measured the house 100 cubits long, the separate place, and the building with the walls thereof 100 cubits long. So all this information that is in here, in HaTH'GaLUTH about the temple, is being referenced in here to let us know that this is like, a foreshadowing, a shadow, but all the dimensional stuff is going to be the same. So the new Jerusalem can have the same, depth, width, and height. So that can either be a cube, or it actually could be, a triangle, because that can have the same base measurements and the same overall height measurements. So that's pretty interesting to look at that. Sometimes the enemy tries to take possession and ownership of things that aren't theirs. And maybe they've done that here too. It's worth considering. All right, chapter 11, verse 2. "But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the other nations, and the Qadash cities shall they tread under their feet 40 and 2 months." 1694, it's a reference to, Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25. "And I will give power unto my two witnesses." Here we go. "And they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the two menorahs standing before Alahym of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceeds out of their mouths to devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this like manner be unalive." Which is, like my Shah was mentioning earlier today about, reaping what you sow. And so I believe that the two witnesses are actually two groups, Qadash assemblies, right? Believers, two group, not just two individual people, but two houses that he intends to mend into one. So that would be like the northern and the southern kingdoms coming together as one kingdom. So there's actually a whole separate study that would be involved in trying to break that down. But I want to lay that out here as we move forward. Okay. these two olive trees that are trees being a representation of people, but also that they have the oil, which is the Ruach of Yahuah. And we'll see the characteristics of them, how it fits Yashar'Al. Okay? So just stand by as we go through this. All right? These have power to shut the Shemayim that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have the power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with plagues as often as they will. You know, it's reminding me of when Yahusha said, greater things than these shall you do. Yashar'Al being like a prophecy of end time works, because the works that the two witnesses do in the last days, like taking all the other miracles of different prophets and combining it all into one very intense time. This says 1697, so that's Exodus 7:20. I don't know if I need to grab that. Exodus 7:20. Why not, right? Let's see what it says, family. And Masha and Aaron did so, as Yahuwah commanded. And he lifted up the rod, and he smote the waters that were in the river, in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned into blood. So we know the miracles that went on during the Exodus, right? Baruk Yahuah. And when they shall have finished their testimonies, the beast that ascends out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them, and unalive them. These two witnesses, or these two houses. 1698. Daniel 7:21 came up again. Daniel chapter 7. And their bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is Sodom and Mitzrayim, where also our Yah was impaled, and they of the people of kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their bodies to be placed into graves. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall even exchange gifts one with another, because two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. So this is also showing us, right? Think of the beast system, and all the kings of the earth are under the power of this beast. These witnesses are doing their works and these miracles throughout that beast kingdom, right? It's saying of every nation and tribe and tongue, okay? And the peoples of all these areas are familiar with their righteousness, and they hate it, because these are a unique and peculiar peoples who have um, power in their tongues to speak the truth, tearing down strongholds and false doctrines and dominions, and all, exposing principalities and powers and all that, right? So because these peoples that are wicked hate Yah and they hate Yahusha, they really also hate these witnesses, right? And so, boy, when the beast that comes out of the bottomless pit starts to get rid of these characters here, these two witnesses, they have a big old Merry Christmas about it. They have a festival. They exchange gifts. They make merry, right? They consider them to be like less than human in a way. I mean, they're not even bothering to place their bodies into the graves. It's pretty intense to understand what that is all going to be like, right? Think about it, guys. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over it, making merry and exchanging gifts, because those those prophets were driving them crazy. Yeah. And after 3.5 days, this says Ruach Hayim, Ruach of Yahuah, the resurrecting power of the Ruach of Yahuah, comes from Alahym, enters into them, and that they stand up upon their feet. And great fear falls upon all the wicked who see this. 3.5 days later, they're resurrected, right? Just like Hamashiach rose after 3 days, yeah? Okay? And they heard a great voice from the Shemayim saying, "Come up hither." And they ascended up into the Shemayim in a cloud, and all their enemies beheld them. And the same hour was there a great earthquake. I always want you guys to make a mental note about this earth. Sorry, I got a little pop-up ad right here or something. Sorry about that interruption, you guys. And another one. How the devil is. Well, actually, that little thing played music for hours without anything. All right. All right. Let's see if I can remember where I was. I keep saying that I don't want to balance the scripture on this tray, but I do it every week. Okay, so yeah, the great earthquake. I feel like it's a marker in the timeline, and you'll see that it comes up in different places. It comes in with seals, it comes in with shupars, it comes in with bowls. And I think it's very significant, right? There, a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain of mankind 7,000, and their remnant were frightened and gave esteem to the Alahym of Shemayim. Okay, it says the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe comes quickly. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of the world are become the kingdoms of our Adonai and of Hamashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders which sat before Alahym on their seats fell upon their faces and worship Alahym, saying, we give you thanks, O Yahuwah Elohim Sebaoth, which are and was and are to come. Are and was and is to come. Okay? Yahusha. The enemy tries to copycat that. Yep. Because you have taken to you your great power and have reigned. And the nations were angry, and your wrath is come, and the time of the unaliving that they shall be judged, and that you should give reward unto your servants, the prophets, and to the Qadashayam, and them that fear your name, small and great, and should destroy them which dwell upon the earth. In reference Psalm 115, verse 13, Daniel chapter 7, verse 10, chapter 7, verse 22, and also chapter 11, verse 44. Baruk Yahuah. And the temple of Alahym was open in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of the agreement that they call, right, Covenant, right? And there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail. That's another one that we'll see a marker for, the great hail. That's coming too. And the thunderings and the voices, often that comes with Yahusha speaking. All right, chapter 12. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and unto her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and cast them down unto the earth. So the woman is Yashar'Al. I believe the 12 stars could be a reference to the 12 tribes of Yashar'Al. The son being born is Yahusha. The red dragon is Hashatan, that serpent of old. The 7 heads represents his power within all the different kingdoms of the earth, the beast system. 7 being a number of like completion or totality of the thing. Okay, and then the third part of the fallen angels, right? His tail drew down a third part of the stars from heaven and to cast them to earth. So we have to understand when we read chapter 12 in here, it's its own kind of like separate chapter from the rest of it's the 100,000-foot view of redemptive history, right? Okay. We try to look at this book in a linear way, we will be very confused. And the dragon was standing before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So the dragon's plan was to destroy the child immediately, right? Okay. And she brought forth a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, Malak Sadak, Yahusha HaMashiach, and her child was caught up unto Alahym and to his throne, his own throne. 1705, Psalm 210. Let's see if I can get it. Guys, I'm trying to go to the book of Psalms for us real quick. Chapter 2 this is actually like one of my favorite Psalms. I feel like I quote it like all the time. I lost my place. Chapter 2, verse 10. Be wise now, therefore, O you kings. So this is again the 7 heads, right? The kings of the earth. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve Yahuwah with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, Hamashiach, lest he become angry and you perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Baruk Atah are those who put their trust in him and not these kings of the earth. Aman, Hallelujah. Okay? And the woman fled into the wilderness where she has a place prepared of Alahym. So I think this is actually a reference to how we were scattered all over creation. You know, the enemy wants to devour Yashar'Al, but we were lost, hidden, mixed, scattered, that kind of thing, covered. That they should feed her there 1,260 days, and there was a war in the Shemayim. Now this says Mikael. Mikael means who is like Alahym. So when they say, "Oh, it's the Archangel Michael," that causes us to be like, look at the name in the Abrith. The name in the Abrith means who is like Alahym. So I ask you, who is like Alahym? Your answer should be there is none, right? No one is like Alahym. Alahym alone is Alahym. He alone is Alahym. Before him, there are no other Alahym, right? So we need to understand that. Now listen to this. There's a war in heaven, okay? Mikael and his angels. Whose angels are they? They're Alahym's angels. He is Yahuwah Sebaot, which is captain of armies, right? So that's I can't get it right here in this hard copy, but if I had my app right now, I could show you that. Okay? So There was a war in the Shemayim, and who is like Alahym, and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought with his angels, and did not prevail. Right? Neither was there found a place in heaven for them anymore. They were cast out of heaven. Do you see? And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, Hashatan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Hallelujah. Right? And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come Yahusha, which is deliverance and strength, and the kingdom of our Alahym, and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which did accuse them before Alahym day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, that's trusting in Yahusha, and by the word of their testimonies, and they loved not their lives unto death. Fear not the one who can destroy the body, but fear the one who can destroy the body and the soul forever in the lake of fire. You know what I'm saying? Hallelujah. Okay, so chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he know that he has a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the male child. Yeah, Yashar'Al. Okay. And to the woman who were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time. From the face of the serpent, almost as if the serpent can't really find her yet until the hand of the restrainer is removed, right? Right? Because we know that a time is coming when these witnesses are unalived by the beast that comes out of the bottomless pit. Yeah, there are going to be those who lose their head for their amunah and their testimony, right? And even by that, overcoming the beast. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of their testimony, that they loved not their lives even unto the unaliving. Hallelujah. Okay? 1709. Daniel chapter 7 is coming up a lot right now. I have to go there. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. Now, I wondered about this too, if this was, not just literally water, like a deluge type of flood, but like flooding the world with his power and dominion and influence in a way to try to like flush her out. Wonder about that. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened up her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon had cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which guard the commandments of Alahym, and have the testimony of Yahusha HaMashiach. Baruk Yahuah. Baruk Yahuah. Hang on 1 second, guys. I need to get a drink. And I'm trying to fight this headache right now. Okay, chapter 13. This one I think people hear it a lot, right? And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So I was talking with my Shah about this one a little bit, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to break this down, but I'm going to do my best. May the Ruach of Yahuah, open your ears and direct us in this conversation to have understanding, okay? So this beast coming up out of the sea representing not just a land, but all from which all creation came. So coming up out, like having over all of creation. And so you see right here that it says that it has 7 heads. 7 is the number of a completion, the entirety of a thing. So the beast has dominion over all of the kingdoms of the earth. Okay? And this is very important too, that there's this reference to blasphemy. The blasphemy would be like all the Babylonian rooted religious institutions of the world, the 501c3 false ways. All the false religions are demonically inspired. Okay? So, and it all is rooted back to this beast, to this ancient evil, and this dragon and these fallen angels, and also the Nephilim, which is be like their offspring. Okay, and you have a lot of wicked people, actual mankind, who enter into agreements with the beast, and they make maybe it's appropriate to use the word when we talk about the dark side, a covenant, even a blood oath that they make, right? For power and fame and fortune and all these things. Okay, so this beast has 7 heads, heads being like heads of government, like kings. If you think that there's some kind of difference between Trump and Putin and all these things, then you're very confused. Read again in Psalm 2, it says, all the kings of the earth conspire together. Conspiracy is scripture. This is a cosmic conspiracy that's going on right here. It's playing out in all of redemptive history. The wicked ones are conspiring together to make war against Yahuwah, against Hamashiach, and against Yashar'Al, the Qadashayam. Okay, so we got that out. So there's also 10 horns, which is kind of like image of power and authority. Okay, so all these kingdoms of the earth seem to have all the power and the authority and the dominion on the earth, except for Yashar'Al, right? But they have it, right? We're in the world, but we're not of the world. But we're surrounded by people who are totally in the world. They can't even hear us most of the time. They have no idea what we're talking about. It's crazy. I get so crazy. I always trip out on it. Sorry, I want to stop that from going to favor mode. Okay. So you got this dragon, this beast. We already read in chapter 12 that the dragon had these heads, right? 7 crowns. Again, 7 being the totality, right? So all the governments of the world where there's a crown, okay, are under the power of this dragon. All the religions, all the governments, all the kings. I don't care if it's NATO, UN, BRICS, whatever. Stop putting any trust in any of that stuff. What does it say right here? Where did it go? It said Baruk would be the one. Where was it? I lost my place. Baruk would be the ones that trust in Yahuwah. We just read it and I lost it where it was. Sorry that I can't recall where that was exactly. I'll be amazed if I can remember where I am in scripture right now. Chapter 13, verse 2. Okay. Hopefully, verse 1, I just explained it hopefully well enough, right? All earthly power, the 10 horns, the 7 kings and the 7 crowns and the 7 heads of nations, all under this beast system thing. I think a lot of us can see that now, right? And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And again, remember I was saying that the dragon exercises power and authority and dominion over all of creation, right? Of course, only whatever Yahuwah allows, right? And so if you're under his wing and his cover and his protection and his blood, then that's different because you're now placed apart. So like when the judgment, the wrath, and these storms come, these whirlwinds within whirlwinds that we talked about before, They're going to be passing by Yashar'Al. Okay? So why is it saying that it's a leopard and a bear and all that? And some people go, oh, leopard, that means England. Oh, bear, that means Russia, and different things like that. I don't know about all that. I'm not really so much sure about all that. If it's saying that the beast was like a leopard, maybe it had a characteristic that a leopard has, or that it has a characteristic that a bear has. But either way, it has all power, dominion, and authority. The dragon gave power and seat and authority. And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Remember earlier when I said Mikael's name means who is like Alahym? And you know how the enemy tries to basically like steal all the esteem and everything, right? So that there's these people marked by the beast who are like, who can make war with the beast? Oh, they worship the beast. The beast is the greatest thing ever, right? And if you call it that, they think you're loco, right? All right. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 40 months. That's 3.5 years. Maybe it has something to do with this second term that's beginning right now for their golden dawn, right? Who's supposed to be a physical manifestation of the one that they worship. Maybe, guys. It kind of seems like it. Let me know what you think. And he opened his mouth and he in blasphemy against Alahym, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and them that dwell in the Shemayim. So taking the name of the Most High in vain, calling upon Lord, God, Jesus, any of those things, there's appointing this, I gotta do a puzzle piece, appointing this woman, Paula White, to be the spiritual leader of the White House or whatever. All this stuff is blasphemy. Just outright blasphemy. And if you think about it, sadly enough, a lot of the so-called followers of the book that are ex-gens in the land think it's all above board and great. They have no understanding of what righteousness is. And it had to be that way. There had to be something to trick them, right? Which again goes back to the dragon having 7 heads, 10 horns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. Right? All these different religions, which ultimately will be like a one world religion, right? And it was given unto him to make war with the Qadashayam. What was the one over here that we saw that this beast comes up out of the bottomless pit and shall make war and overcome these witnesses? So that was right there in verse 11 and I'm sorry, chapter 11 and verse 7. Right? And then over here in 13 and 7, it was given him to make war with the Qadashayam and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the Sephar of life of the Lamb who was slain at the foundation of the world. The whole world worships the beast except the ones who have been sealed in their right hand and their forehead by Yahuwah. If not for that redemptive work, we too would. All of us would worship after this beast, right? That's why we need to understand and acknowledge that it is an all-powerful, sovereign work of Yahuwah to seal you, that you love him, that you fear him, and that you can discern these wicked things that have the whole world bamboozled, right? They're all deceived under a very strong delusion, and so it would be with us too if it wasn't for his great chesed and mercy. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the Sephar of life, of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If any one has an ear, let him hear. He that leads into captivity will be led into captivity. He that unalives with the sword must be unalive with the sword. Here is the patience and the amunah of the Qadashayam. And again, like my Shah was saying earlier today, that they reap what they sow. Look what they have sown. You know, guys, it's intense. Okay, verse 11, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as the dragon, and he exercised all power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he does great wonders, so as to make fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of mankind. Could that have something to do with the dew? It seems like it could. And deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of the miracles which he had the power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as not worship the image of the beast shall be unalive. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and in their foreheads. This is again the reference to the forehead being the thoughts and beliefs, right? Your convictions, and the right hand being the works and the things that you do. So you either are transformed by the renewing of your mind in Yahusha HaMashiach, or you have the mark of the beast on your forehead. And you either do the works of the Most High Alahym to esteem him in Qadash works, or you do like the beast and you do like the world, and that's it. There's nowhere else that you can be found. You're either marked by one or the other, and that's it. And is there going to be a physical mark? Yeah, probably there will be a physical manifestation of the mark. But understand that anybody who receives that is marked spiritually already. And that's just, and that's just the bottom line on that one. I'm going to go back and look at Daniel 3 and 7 here in a moment, but let me just finish this. And that no one might be able to buy or sell unless they had the mark or the name of the beast, Lucifer, Lucifrace, or the number of his name. And we're going to talk about that too. Here's wisdom. Let him that hath understanding calculate the number of the beast, or the number of a man his number is. And they always tell you that it's 666, right? But it's actually Chi Sigma. Chi Sigma in the Greek. The MANY, keep not the 10 commandments, but the few keep them perfectly because they are saved. Yeah. Shabbat Shalom, Ruthless 777. Welcome in. I try not to say the word MANY. I know it's difficult, but it's the name of a four mighty one, and you probably don't know, so I want to just tell you. But yeah, the ones that guard the commandments are the ones who truly love him, and we're known by that. We're known by our fruits. You can't know Yashar'Al by skin color. You gotta know Yashar'Al by their love for Yahusha and their faithfulness to guard his commandments, right? Okay, let me see if I can find this. Chi Sigma. I wasn't really so much prepared to do this, but I think it's be well if I do it. So some of y'all might not know about it. And Strong's 5516 is the where we can find it. Because they all write it as 666, right? But we have this reference in the Strong's in the Greek 5516. This term is a combination of 3 Greek letters, which together represent the number 666. Okay? So here, I've seen this article before, and there's an image here which shows the son of lawlessness, the pagan Hail Zeus, Jesus, who is depicted on a Babylonian sun worshipping cross, okay, and comes with this doctrine of do as thou wilt, comes with this lawlessness, okay. 666 only points to who the sea beast of Revelation 13, the papacy. Yeah, the papacy is a huge part of it for sure. But so also know that there's other religious institutions that rock the same 6-pointed star as the papacy, and that this is a little bit deeper than just one institution because it existed going all the way back. The fallen angel worship goes back prior to even the papacy because it's just like rebranded or renamed, but it's the same idolatrous practice of this Trinity worship of the mother-child reunion, right? And the phallic and all that whole thing that they even do in America during the inauguration. All right. So they say that key is abbreviation for Christ. I'm speaking these things right now for the sake of our study, but it's not clean to say. Christ is akin to Krishna, which is a demon. So if you look at the attributes, you'll see that there's a lot of, that they're pretty much mirror images of each other. Okay. And then it says, she is abbreviation letter Xulon, a beam from which anyone is suspended, or a reference to the cross. So you have Krishna on a cross so far. And then stigma is a hole, a mark, a piercing. So stigma reference to being nailed to a cross. Krishna, mark of Krishna, the Babylonian cross. I don't know. It's pretty intense. It's pretty in depth. There are errors in my understanding. Okay, well, sure, you can go ahead and tell me that. You can share with me in love, and we can get to the bottom of things. So this article also references the H in Jesus, H Christ, as being Zeus, Horus, Krishna, which is another way of saying fallen angel worship. It's all demonically inspired. That's all it is. It's replacing the Most High Yah with spiritual fornication and whoredom. Because guess what? They don't care what name you worship after as long as it's not the one true living Alahym. Anything else is harlotry. Anything else is blasphemy. Anything else is idolatry, whether it's wood or stone. Okay? And that's the point that we need to catch. That's the thing that we need to understand. And that's the trap that Yashar'Al fallen into. Even the most prideful Yahudim out here needs to understand that you were twice the harlot of Ephraim. That all of Yashar'Al went whoring. Okay? And that we're all being constantly tempted now to worship these giants, these mighty males of renown, the wonders of the whole thing, Hollywood and the Transformers. This thing is deep and it goes on and on. But what we're getting right now from HaTH'GaLUTH is that Yahuah, our Alahym, is Echad. And he is our Yahshua. Yahusha HaMashiach, the fulfillment of the promise to be our deliverer. The Malak Sadak, who has no beginning, who has no ending, who has no mother, who has no father, just like the book of Hebrews says in chapter 7. Okay? So, taking all things back to the Babylonian Ishtar worship, Apollyon sun worship, moon goddess worship, okay? It's This is what's going on. This is what the doctrine of the Nicolaitans is. A lot of people have a lot of things that they say that the scriptures mean. And it reminds me of when someone is in a forest and they're lost and they're just looking at the tree. Right? They can't see the forest for the trees, and they can't see how easy it is for them to get out of this dark wood because they're so enamored with the bark on the tree, and they just spend all their time doing that and going and listening to different authorities and reading different publications and all that. Just seek the truth and understanding directly from the Father, because this is really not as complicated as the devil wants you to believe it is. The devil is in the details, and you will get lost in Babylon over and over again, right? Unless we go back and do the simple things, right? To esteem the creator of all things, right? And guard his statutes and his commandments. Seek to know his Moedim and his times, like we talked about in the beginning, about how the new year is coming and the Pesach is coming and when the Shabbat is, right? That we need to really seek to do these things. And if you think that you can live in rebellion against the commandments and then somehow esteem his placed apart Moedim, you're just as foolish as the ones who are in the land who say that they're Yashar'Al but do lie, who think they have his signet now. They think they have his sealed day now. They don't. They're not his bride. They're not in covenant with him. All right. So that was that part. Now let's go a little bit farther. Let's go into chapter 14, okay? And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written on their foreheads, transformed by the renewing of their mind, right? Esteeming the lamb, who's standing on Mount Zion. What is that an image of? What is that a representation of? Being the king of all things. The lamb is standing atop the Mount of Zion. The Mount of Zion. Yeshayahu 59:20. Yeshayahu. Is that what I said? Here it is. Yeshayahu 59:20. What is that? Isaiah. Baruk Atah Yahuah 59. If I tell you to trust in Yahusha and guard the commandments of Yahuwah, there's no error, right? Right? That's the rock, guys. Come on. 59, and I think I said 20. Let me double check. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, says Yahuwah. As for me, this is my oath with them, says Yahuwah. My Ruach that is upon you, and my words which I have put into your mouth, shall not depart out of your mouth, nor out of the mouth of your seed, nor out of the mouth of your seed, says Yahuwah, from henceforth forevermore. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. And then Psalm chapter 2 comes back. Psalm 2:6. Yet I have placed my king upon my Qadash hill of Zion. The Lamb is the king. How many kings? How many kings, guys? How many thrones? Remember when we did the first video, we were in 1 through 5? How many? One sat on the throne. One. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know who the Lamb is, then you might not have HaMashiach. You might have a false Mashiach. Okay? And everybody needs to work that out with fear and trembling, you guys. Seriously. There can be only one. All right? There's also, for anybody who wants to go and look, there's Ezra, or 4th Ezra, which is 2nd Esdras, 1335. Darn, I want to get that one. This is where I need my help meet. You're helping me. Baruk Yahuah. He gave me 4th Ezra right there. Look at that. 1335. Let's see what this says. There's so much in this book too, you guys. 2nd Esdras. 1335. But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion. Listen to this. And whereas you saw that out of his mouth there came as a blast of wind and fire and storm. You guys, that's judgment, man. Come on. And that he held neither sword nor any instrument of war, but that the rushing in of him destroyed the whole multitude that came to subdue him. This is the interpretation. Behold, the days come when all Alahym will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth, and he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen, which I showed you before. And then shall my son be declared, whom you saw as a man ascending. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle that they have one against another. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together. Innumerable multitude gathered together, Baruk Yahuah, you know. Whew. As you saw them willing to come and to overcome him by fighting, and he shall stand up atop of the mount of Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be showed to all mankind, being prepared and built, like as you saw the hill graven with hands. And this, my son, shall rebuke the wicked inventions and those nations which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and their torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and shall destroy them without labor by the thurah, which is like unto me. And whereas you saw that he gathered another shalomable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away in prison out of their own land in the time of Yahusha the king, whom Shalom the king of Ashur led away captive, and the lost tribes of Yashar'Al, the northern tribes that are lost and scattered abroad, the 144,000 being 12,000 from all 12 tribes united as one branch in his hand. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right. So the Lamb is standing atop Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 having the Father's name in their foreheads. These are the multitude of brothers. Yahusha is the firstborn of a multitude of brethren, the first fruits, right? Making them kings and priests forever after him. Okay? The Qadash king, the Qadash priest, not these other earthly kings and priests that we've been having that all have different errors. The one who's perfect, right? Okay. And I heard a voice from heaven, and the voice of a multitude of waters, and the voice of great thunderings. Remember, I told you that it comes with his voice like thunderings and lightnings. Okay. And this earthquake. And then there's instruments playing. A kitharist, this one says kithara, which is like a harp or a stringed instrument. And they sang as it were a new song before the throne, one throne, and before the four living creatures and the elders, and no one could understand that song except for the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women. This means that they didn't. This is a reference to spiritual harlotry. When we talked earlier about all those different Dakaishi Sigma, and I was breaking down all these different demonic worshiping thing and all these 501c3 false, those are all harlots, right? So when you fornicate in those things, you transgress against the Most High Yah. It's like sleeping around with every kind of harlot. Okay? For they are virgins. These are those which follow the Lamb wherever he goes. He is their shepherd, right? These were redeemed from among mankind, being the first fruits unto Alahym and the Lamb. The first fruits unto Yah. Yahuah, Yahusha, Ahayah, right? And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of Alahym. Guile, like a false way of speaking. Earlier, my family were in the book of Genesis, and we're reading about how Jacob labored for 7 years for Rachel, and Laban was like, "Oh yeah, here." He puts Leah there, and Jacob sleeps with Leah, and he's like, the next day, he's like, "What is this thing that you've done to me? Did we not agree for your daughter Rachel? Why have you beguiled me?" It's a deception. It's a lie. Okay, so their mouths are not filled with deceptions or false words, right? They're blameless before the throne of Alahym. Why? Because they guard his commandments. They're not pleasers of man, they're pleasers of Alahym. Okay? This says 17:19, which is Psalm 32:2. Should I go there? Let's go there. Psalm 32:2. Let's see what it says, family. Just see. 32:2. Baruk it is the man unto whom Yahuwah imputes not iniquity, and in whose Ruach there is no guile. Hallelujah, Yahuwah. Hallelujah, Yahuwah. And I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having an everlasting basurah, the great news, to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, because we're all scattered and lost throughout the whole world. Okay? Saying with a loud voice, "Fear Alahym, give esteem to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters." Him that made. Sorry, I'm just feeling like I need to read this really quickly. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Alahym, and Alahym was the Word. The same was in the beginning with Alahym. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of mankind. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can't understand it. Family, who's the Word? Yahusha is the Word made flesh. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was Alahym. Yahusha is Alahym, right? All things were made by him. Apart from him is not anything made. There's nothing else made that didn't come from him. You see? Come on, family. What did he just say? Saying with a loud voice, fear Alahym and give esteem to Alahym. For the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. I have people trying to tell me that you don't worship Yahusha. Well, you're crazy. If you can't worship HaMashiach, then you do not have the right HaMashiach. Okay? I know that sounds harsh, but I've been at this for a minute, and I deal with this a lot. I got so many people denying that to me, and just everyone seek it out for yourself. Okay? I guess I would say, as for me and my household, we will serve the Most High Alahym, Yahusha HaMashiach. And why do you pull to the Father in the name of Yahusha? Because Yahusha is acknowledging that he completed his promise to be your deliverer. That's why you acknowledge that name above all names. Guess what? When he comes back, he's going to have another name that's also going to be fulfillment of another promise. Right? And it will be well to acknowledge him by that name. Because even the name of the Father is in the name of the Son. Yahuah, the great I am, is creator. Yahusha, the great I am, is deliverance. Do you see? When you halal in the name of Yahusha, you are acknowledging the great I am. Before Abraham was Ahayah, they fell back when he pronounced that. Remember the garden of Gethsemane, they came to arrest him, and he said, Ahayah, I am, and they fell back. That's crazy. That's awesome. I love that. You know what I mean? Because there is no other name under the heavens by which man can be saved than the great Yah. Ahayah, Ahar, Ahayah. Masha said, who do I say sent me? They're going to ask me who. Who do I say that you are? And he said, I am that I am. Ahayah. Right? Okay. Whew. Fire, you guys. Give esteem and to him. That is worship. That is worship. You acknowledge that he's the creator. That's worship, guys. Come on. Right? And there followed another angel saying, Babel is fallen, that great city which she made all nations, all the beast system. Right? Drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed, saying in a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in their forehead and in their hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Alahym. Wine of the wrath of Alahym, prepared for the wicked in the day of judgment. The penalty is eternal. It's everlasting wrath, judgment, fire, never quenched. This ain't a game. People play too much. For real. The wine of the wrath of Alahym, which is poured out without mixture, meaning it ain't going to be diluted for you. It's potent. Potent. Right? Whoo. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the Qadash Malakim, the Qadash angels, and in the presence of the Lamb. Okay? And the smoke of their torments ascends up forever and ever. Like I said, it doesn't end. Annihilationism is a lie. The devil wants people to believe that if you disobey the instructions and you just so happen to have to get annihilated, don't worry, it'll be over soon and then you'll just, cease to be. You wish you won't escape Hashatan, right? There's no repenting for you. You know who the Most High is, and you can't submit and you can't obey, and you're in constant rebellion. So if you go that way, then you're going to get the same kind of wrath, right? It is eternal. It says it forever and ever, and they have no rest, day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receives the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the Qadashayam. Here are they that guard the commandments of Alahym. How dare you tell people the commandments are abolished? Dang, that's evil. That is evil, bro. Here is the patience of the Qadashayam, and those that guard the commandments of Alahym and have amunah, trust in Yahusha. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, Baruk are those which die in Yahuah from henceforth, yea, says the Ruach, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. And I look, and behold, a white cloud. And upon the cloud, one sat, like unto the son of Adam. That's Yahusha. That's Almighty. Okay? That's the King. Yeah? One sat, like unto the son of Adam, having on his head a golden crown, because he's the king. Okay? And in his hand a sharp sickle. You guys know what a sickle is? Right? The sickle is like that thing that they use to chop down the wheats and the tares and the harvest time for reaping. Yeah, it's a long wooden stick with a sharp metal curved blade at the end. Okay? And who has it? The king has it. Not some mythical creature cloaked in all black and you can't see his face and all that. That's paganism. That's witchcraft. You better make no mistake who the Most High Yah is and what he's coming to do. Another angel came out of the temple crying with a loud voice unto the one who sat upon the cloud, Thrust in your sickle and reap, for the time is come for the reaping, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. You know from the seals that we read, how long, O faithful and true, before you avenge our lives? These are the ones who already crossed over, passed away, whatever, right? Underneath the altar, crying up to the Most High Yah. And he says, not until the fullness of your brethren have come in. Not until the completeness, I should say. Sorry. Right? So now they're saying, hey, it's time for the reaping to go. And another angel came out of the temple, which is in the Shemayim, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the altar, which had the power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sickle, Thrust in your sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are completely ripened. And that's why I refer to that as the grapes of wrath, because it's a harvest of the wicked, and there will be so much blood that comes out of the winepress of his wrath that it's 5.5 feet deep. It's up to the horse's bit in its mouth, the horse's bridle, and it goes for stadion, which is a measurement of distance. It goes for like hundreds of miles, as far as the eye can see. Imagine that. Just imagine how much is coming out of these grapes, right? Which are the wicked. And the angel thrust in the sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of Alahym. And the winepress was trodden outside of the city, and the blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse's bridle, by the space of 1,600 stadion. People want to argue how much a stadion is. Let them. And what's the point? The point is that it's so much, and it's as far as the eye can see. It's way farther than we can see. Who can see? I saw one thing that said it was 184 miles. How far is it? What's the most we can even see? A fraction of this 184, right? So I don't, it doesn't matter. I don't know why people argue about the things they argue about, because they don't want to talk about the real thing. Like, oh, just submit and obey the king. You know what I'm saying? All right, I got one more chapter. My Shah's here now. I'm a little fired up. I'm sorry. Thanks, Bear. Sorry, honey, about interrupting your nap. It is well to rest. Chapter 15, and I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous. I like this too. I mean, I like it all, so you can't tell, but 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is can't say that word. Oh, I can't say that word. Filled up the wrath of Alahym. Okay, so now I got to understand, right, that the cup of his wrath is full. The cup of his wrath is filled, and it's being distributed now. So that's what these angels are about to do. Pour out his wrath. And when portions of the cup are dispersed into different places, serious things happen, like really serious things happen. So let's look. And I saw, as it were, a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass, having these instruments, stringed instruments of Alahym. And they were singing the song of Masha, the servant of Alahym, and the song of the Lamb. Song of Alahym, song of the Lamb, saying, great and marvelous are your works, Yahuah. The song of the Lamb, great and marvelous are your works, Yahuah. Alahym, Sabaoth. Can you go to your Safar and just go to Revelation 15 in verse 3? Click on Sabaoth, please. I think it means like captain of armies or commander of armies. So Revelation 15, right, or verse 3. Okay, so it doesn't tell you what it means in English. So of hosts, or like like the heavenly hosts, or like the angels, the right, the stars of heaven kind of thing. Okay, Yahuah, Alahym of hosts, which I think it kind of comes down to being another way of saying like Adonai of Adonim, if you know what that is. Hopefully you do. If you don't, ask me. Okay. Okay. The pagans call it Lord of Lords, or they might say Master of Masters, but it's Kadash to say Adonai, which would be like Adany, because we have the letters in the the scrolls, right? The Dead Sea Scrolls, the caves at Qumran. So, just and true are your ways, King of the Qadashim. So the Qadashim are going to be like Malachim, kings. See, the word for Malach, the word for king, and the word for angel are Malach. So it's very interesting when you look at that. Anyway, the 144,000 are going to be kings under Yahusha. They're going to be kings who reign in creation under him. They're going to report directly to him. They're going to go in and out of his throne room, and they're going to have some dominion over parts of the earth. This whole earth isn't going to get just obliterated, and there's going to be it's going to be renewed heaven, renewed earth, renewed bodies. Okay, not so much different than the body that you have. You do understand that, right? It's not so much different, but it's going to be whatever happened to your body by way of I have no idea why that's glitching out like that. Whatever happened to your body, if it's some kind of disease or disability, like I don't have my right leg below the knee. It got injured and it got amputated, right? But I'm not going to be having a prosthetic leg in my new body. It's going to be restored to the way that he originally made it. Some people have different issues with their bodies that come from their chata or the chata of their fathers, the transgressions of their fathers. And so those things are going to be removed, right? So it's how he intended it to be. Okay. That's a great question. That is a great question. But also in the question is a confirmation of what I was saying, because they looked upon him and knew immediately who he was. His new body was so much like his old body that they knew who he was, right? But those marks were there as a witness that was used for the doubter. I don't know. Other than that, I don't really know exactly why. But see, that's the whole point, right? He didn't have a new body that was completely different. Like he wasn't like with wings. They look at him and know who he is, and they're like, "Teacher." Yeah, unless he failed. But yeah, I'm just saying. Yep. I know you are. You asked me. Well, let's ask the Father. There may be certain things that we don't know right now that make you doubt him. Hallelujah for that. Oh yeah. Would you have that? Like, He's still 8, right? Does he still go potty? Yeah, I don't know either. I've thought about it before, but try not to think about it too much. Okay. Just and true are your ways, King of the Qadashayam. Who shall not fear you, O Yahuah, and magnify your name? For you only are Qadash. So only one is Qadash. Hey, what's up? Greg likes beer. I see that you wrote SIN ... Is that because you know that it's the name of a foreign mighty one? And no, we don't do sacrifices for Chatah because that's fulfilled in Yahusha, right? Our Pasach. Oh, well, Hallelujah, Yahuah, I'm so joyful that you do know that. Yeah. So you can say Chatah, right? Chatah. That's a great question, but no, we don't. But we had in the beginning of this video, I know you missed it. It was says that we do the Pasach every year in all of our generations as an ordinance forever. So we do it in remembrance of him, right? So we still have Shalom offerings. During unleavened bread, you make an offering by fire every day of the feast, right? So we still do this, the offerings, and you know what? It's a tremendous joy to roast meat unto Yahuwah and give thanks because you eat it. You know what I mean? It's it's a barbecue. I mean, it's obviously it's not pork because that's not food anyway, never was. But if you do chicken or lamb or beef or any other kind of clean animal and you roast meat on a fire under the stars and you praise Yah and thank him and then partake of that gift that he gave you, dude, our Alahym is best. Amazing. Like that's amazing stuff. And I look forward to Pesach is coming soon and unleavened bread. And you know, if the weather cooperates, we're gonna have a fire every day. You know, so I got a video too on kindling a fire. I see myself getting pulled into rabbit holes, and I don't want to go too far down. But if you already have a fire and you already have the wood that's right there to add to it, adding wood to the fire is not kindling a fire. It's not work for you to do that. And the proof that you're supposed to is in the commandments about the 7-day feasts. Because if it was forbidden for you to cook on a fire, then how are you supposed to fill the commandment to roast meat every day? Do you see? So we got to get away from these traditions of those who say that they're Yashar'Al and Dulai because they lead people like hardcore astray. And yeah, Baruk Yahuah, man, because you know, singing and dancing and being under the stars and reading his word and roasting meat and doing all the things that you do with the branches and the tabernacle, the saku. You know, it's joyous, wondrous, fun. Hallelujah, Yahuah, right? For you alone are worthy. All nations shall come worship before you. You know, it's again, they're singing the song unto the Lamb, and they're saying that he's worthy to be worshipped. It really breaks my heart when I hear people say, oh, no, you don't worship the Lamb. No, no, no. Anyway, that's between them and the Most High, right? For your judgments are made manifest. Yeah. And after that, I looked, and behold, the temple of the tabernacle, the testimony, and the Shemayim was open. And the 7 angels came out of the temple, having the 7 plagues, clothed in pure and white linens, and having their breasts girded with a golden belt. So I would consider these to be like they're clothed in white linens because their garments are cleaned and purified by the blood of the Lamb. Right? This he is using his redeemed Yashar'Al to execute some of these judgments that are coming right here. Right? Please tell me. Please tell me. Breasts girded with golden belts. And one of the 4 living creatures gave unto the 7 angels 7 golden vials full of the wrath of Yahuwah, who lives forever and ever. And the temple was filled with the smoke from the esteem of Alahym and from his power. And no man was able to enter into the temple until the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were completed. And actually, I have to take back what I said earlier when I said it was the last one. This is the last one because I need to do 6 this week so I can do 6 next week so that we can end on time and then we can talk about Pesach in the next Shabbat, which will give us just a little bit of time before the feast to have all of our preparations in order. Okay, if you don't have the calendar, email me and I'll send it to you. Thankfully, the new moon day of the first month is already falling on the pagan day Saturday, so most folks have it off already as it is. But you need to know when the other days are. Pesach is always on the Shabbat. So that really shouldn't be an issue for us, Yashar'Al. And the first day and the last day of unleavened bread is no servile work also. So you may have to do something for that Thursday, right? Just as a heads up for anybody who's already walking in the Moedim. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, "Go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of Alahym upon the earth." And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell noisome and grievous sores upon mankind, which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worship his image. And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of an unalived person, and every living soul in the sea expired or perished. Okay? And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and the fountains of waters, and they became blood. And I heard the angels of the waters say, "You are righteous, O Yahuah, which are and was and shall be." There it is again, which are and was and shall be, because you have judged this way. For they have shed the blood of the Qadashayam and the prophets, and you have given them blood to drink. For they are worthy of it, right? They're reaping what they sowed. And I heard another out of the altar saying, "Even so, Yahuah, Alahym, Sabaoth, true and Qadash are your judgments." So, like, some people will talk about like when we're removed and stuff like that. So it seems to me that at the point of this great earthquake and thunderings and lightnings, when the sky cracks and is rolled open like a scroll, when Yahusha appears with the Qadashayam behind him, and then the last part of the judgments, the third woes come, we're not having to endure and partake through those things. Okay, that's what it seems like to me. And that we're actually part of the last bit of the judgments that come. And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch mankind with fire. And mankind were scorched with a great heat, and yet blasphemed the name of Alahym, which has the power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him esteem. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was filled with darkness. And they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed Alahym Shemayim because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. So now there's a judgment coming upon all these wicked kings of the earth, right? Upon his kingdom. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Parath, and the water thereof was dried up. See, I definitely feel like this is not fulfilled yet. It comes later. That the way of the kings of the eastern sun might be prepared. That's interesting how that's worded. I wonder how it says it in your TS 2009. Yeah, can you? That's 1612. And I saw three unclean Ruach, wicked spirits like frogs, come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the Ruach of devils, demons, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of the great day of Yahuah Sebaoth, which is Harmagado. Okay, what does it say, baby? Okay, that's how I remember it. This actually says the way of the kings of the eastern sun. So these are our actual fallen angels, right? I think so, but I don't know for sure. Those three that are chained and bound under the river, It says Euphrates. Mm. Could be, but I'm talking specifically about these three um, four mighty ones right here. Behold, I come as a thief. Baruk it is he who watches and guards his garments, which is keeping the commandments. You know, don't let your garments become defiled, that your nakedness be exposed. Oh, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. Huh. And he gathered them together into the place called in the Abritham Harmagiddo. Harmagiddo. Can you look up Zechariah 14:2, please? Yes, please. Thank you. Um, there's actually so much things that I wanted to do here. Joel 3:2. Let me just read this one. For behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Yahudah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yahusha. It's like a valley of judgment. And I will plead with them there for my people, Yashar'Al, and for my heritage, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for some wine, that they might drink it. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Sor and Sidon, and all the coasts of the Pelasheth? Will ye render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my precious and pleasant things. The children also of Yahudah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Yavanim, that ye might remove them far from their borders. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither you have sold them, and return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Yahudah, and they shall sell them into the Shebanim, to a people afar off, for Yahuwah has spoken it. Baruk Yahuah. Okay? And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and a great earthquake, such as was not since man was upon the earth, so mighty of an earthquake and so great. And the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And great Babel came in remembrance before Alahym, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon mankind a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And mankind blasphemed Alahym because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great. I don't remember where it was earlier. I was reading, and it was referencing about the hail. And I told you there was more about the hail coming, and there it was. Oh, hallelujah, Yahuwah. All right, so I'm going to leave off right there, and so that leaves us with 17 to 22 for next week, Abba willing. But I also wanted to share a little bit more. So let me log back into this laptop. And if anybody has any questions, please type them in here. Now is the time to do that, okay? So this is from Deuteronomy 32. Give ear, O heavens, and let me speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. Let my instruction fall as the rain, my speech drop down as dew, as fine rain on the tender plants, and as showers on the grass. For I proclaim the name of Yahuah. Ascribe greatness to our Alahym, the rock. His work is perfect, for all his ways are right ruling, and all of truth, and without unrighteousness. Righteous and straight is he. A twisted and crooked generation has corrupted itself. Their blemish, they are not his children. Do you do this to Yahuah, O foolish and unwise people? Is he not your father who bought you, who created you and established you? Remember the days of old, consider the years of a multitude of generations. Ask your father and let him show you, your elders and let them say it to you. When the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he placed the boundaries of the peoples according to the numbers of the children of Yashar'Al. For the portion of Yahuah is his people, Yaakov, his allotted inheritance. He found him in a wilderness and in a wasted howling desert. He encompassed him. He made him understand. He watched over him as the apple of his eye. As an eagle stirs up its nest, flutters over its young, spreading out its wings, taking them up, bringing them on its wings. Yahuah alone led him, and there was no strange mighty one with him. He made him ride on the heights of the earth. He ate the fruits of the field, and he made him to draw honey from the rock, and oil from the flint rock, curds from the cattle, and milk of the flock, with fat of lambs and rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats with the choicest wheats. And you drank wine, blood of grapes. But Yashar'Al grew fat and kicked. You grew fat, you grew thick, you are covered with fat. So he forsook Haluah, who made him, and scorned the rock of his deliverance. Oh, the rock of your deliverance. They moved him to jealousy. Foreign matters with abominations they provoked him. They slaughtered to demons meat sacrificed to idols, not Aloah, mighty ones, that they did not know, new ones who came lately, which your fathers did not fear. You neglected the rock who brought you forth, and forgot the all who fathered you. And Yahuah saw and despised because of the provocation of his sons and his daughters, and he said, let my children hide my face from them. Let me see what their end is, for they are a perverse generation, children in whom there is no trusting. They made me jealous by what is not. Oh, they provoked me with their worthless matters, but I make them jealous by those who are no people. I provoke them with a foolish nation, for a fire was kindled in my wrath, and burns to the bottom of Sheol, and consumes the earth and its increase, and places on fire the foundations of mountains. I gather evil upon them. I use up my arrows upon them. Wasted by scarcity of food, and consumed by heat and bitter destruction, and the teeth of beasts I send upon them with the poison of serpents of the dust. The sword bereaves from the outside, and fear from within, both young man and maiden, nursing child, with the man of gray hairs. I said, I should blow them away. I should make the remembrance of them to cease among mankind. If I did not fear the enemy's taunt, lest the adversary misunderstand, lest they say, our hand is high, and Yahuah has not done all of this. For they are a nation lost to counsel. and there is no understanding in them. If they were wise, they would understand this. They would consider the latter end. How would one chase 1,000 and put 10,000 to flight unless their rock had sold them and Yahuwah had given them up? For their rock is not like our rock. Even our enemies are judges. Their vine is of the vine of Sodom and of the fields of Amorah. Their grapes are the grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. Their wine is a poison of serpents, the fierce venom of cobras. Is it not stored up with me, sealed up among my treasures? Vengeance is mine, and repayment at the time their foot slips. For near is the day of their calamity, and the matters prepared are hastening to them. For Yahuwah rightly rules his people and has compassion upon his servants when he sees that their power is gone and there is no one remaining, shut up or at large. And he shall say, where are their mighty ones, the rock in whom they sought refuge, who ate the fat of the slaughterings and drank the wine of the drink offerings? Let them arise and help. Let it be a hiding place for you. See now that Ahayah, I am he, and there is no Alahym besides me. I put to death and make alive. I have wounded and I heal. From my hand no one delivers. For I lift my hand to the heavens, and I shall say as I live forever, if I have sharpened my flashing sword, and my hand takes hold on judgment, I shall return vengeance to mine enemies and repay those who hate me. I make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword devours flesh, with the blood of the slain and the captives, from the long-haired enemy chiefs. One nation acclaims his people, for he avenges the blood of his servant, and returns vengeance unto his adversaries, and shall pardon his land and his people. Hallelujah. Yahuah. That's the song of Masha from Deuteronomy chapter 32. Is there a question that I missed? Oh, dang, that's a pretty wild thing to think about. I mean, it's pretty possible, right? I think that's really possible. Mm. Well, one thing to consider too is like we had fire and brimstone rain down upon us before, and the firmament's still intact, right? I think it's actually regenerative. Whole other thing. Like I think that it's the boundary that he has put into place, and that beyond that, it's so cold that it does regenerate and recharge itself. But that's more like my own. But we do have heavenly tablets and sapphire stones that were down here on the earth that even Masha received. He smashed. Whoever placed them. So it's not just like it's some giant piece of ice, because that's not. It wasn't melting or anything. Like it's not like that. But it's a great question, and whatever it is, woe unto anybody who gets it rained down on them. I mean, wow, that's hardcore stuff. I would have really wanted to go into Daniel chapter 7 and probably chapter 3 and Joel chapter 2, and there's a lot more things, but I just can't, guys. I don't have enough time, and we gotta leave some meat for later. There's a lot going on. I guess stay vigilant, stay halaled up, and walk in righteousness. Keep your garments clean, you guys, for real. Like, get rid of any unclean, accursed thing out of your camp. Protect the eyes and ears of those that you love. It's really, really important. We're really, really late in this whole thing. And whatever the beast is getting ready to do, it's going to escalate very quickly now. They've already kind of put everything in place. They've done test runs on all their different things. They're lying signs and wonders, the technology, the blue beam, whatever, the directed energy weapon, so much different things. And you guys know, we're in the presence of people who have no discernment. It wears us out. They can't see anything. They have no idea what's going on. So be it, right? Let him who is unclean be unclean still. I'm just asking you guys who are clean to stay clean, get cleaned up, By the power and will of Yahuah, Yahusha, the Messiah, the one who we love him because he first loved us, right? Because while we were yet enemies at enmity with the Most High, he humbled himself, he took on flesh, he took on the role of a servant, he lived a perfect, righteous, or Qadash life. He willingly laid his life down, no one took it from him. He bore our iniquities on his body. He was impaled on a tree. He was in the tomb 3 days, and he rose again in power, in sovereignty, in majesty, in all esteem. All esteem Yahusha. Yahusha comes in the name of the Father Yahuah. Baruk is he who comes in the name of the Most High. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You'll also find the email in the description of all YouTube videos. So send us a message, a praise report, a prayer request. Much love.